I'd like to call to order the August 13th, 2025 Wetlands Board. The responsibility of this board is to carry out locally the Commonwealth policy to preserve the wetlands and to accommodate economic activity so as to prevent their despoliation. Mr. Wilson, can we have a roll call?
Mr. McElroy.
Here.
Mr. Woolsey.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. May.
Here.
Ms. Bowie.
We have the minutes from the July 9th meeting. Any changes? If not, can I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the July 9th, 2025 meeting.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. We'll now have the public comment period. The public comment period offers a chance for community members to express their opinions. Topics discussed shall not be directly related to the specific agenda items. To participate, speakers must provide their name and address for the record. Do we have anybody that would like to provide an overarching public comment? Seeing none, I will move to the outline for tonight's public hearing, which will be a staff presentation followed by any questions or clarifications from the board. Then the public hearing will be open. At that time, anyone wishing to speak may do so once called upon by the chair. All public speakers must state their name and address for the record. Presentations before the board are subject to time limits. After everybody wishing to speak has done so and discussion among the board is concluded, the public hearing will be closed. We'll take the first case, Ms. Grosjean, WJPA 250011.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Emily Grosjean, Watershed Planner, presenting WJPA 25-0011. Mr. Andrew Gurley of CLS Marine LLC has applied for a wetlands permit on behalf of Mr. Adam Medic for the installation of a bulkhead on property located at 7236 Otey Drive within the Yarmouth Creek watershed. You can see the parcel outlined in blue here, along with that watershed boundary outlined in yellow. The existing site aerial, along with topography, RPA, and floodplain. The applicant is proposing to install a 160-foot bulkhead. All work will be accessed from the uplands. Existing conditions on the property include a large corrugated drainage pipe that outfalls into the canal along the rear of the site, but no existing bulkhead structure. In May of 2023, the resource protection area on this property was cleared without approval. So we have the overall site plan here, just showing the dimensions of the bulkhead. It's going to be following the existing sort of outline of the property line along the canal, and then coming up on the sides here, and then there's that pipe in question, which you'll see better in photos coming up. And then a cross section of the bulkhead in question. We have mean high and mean low, along with the existing grade and new grade. And then just kind of going from this side of the property along where that bulkhead's going to be proposed. As you can see, there's some vegetation, not wetland vegetation, growing along here. Moving along to the right to this kind of corner here, as you can see, there's definitely a need for a bulkhead at this location. And then just looking further down, there's that corrugated pipe in question and just a better shot of it. And the proximity to the adjacent property where it's going to be going up on the side of the property line here. And then just kind of a shot looking back down the other way, showing the existing conditions of that shoreline, so to speak, along the canal. And then just, again, that original photo you saw at the very beginning with that vegetation, just a better idea of kind of where that property line is on this side. On February 1st, 2025, the Wetlands Mitigation Compensation Policy of the Code of Virginia, Chapter 4, VAC 20-390-10 et sequitur, was amended. Virginia, as a Chesapeake Bay program partner, is committed to achieve a no net loss of existing wetlands acreage and function in the signatories' regulatory programs. In order for a proposed project to be authorized to impact wetlands and compensate for the wetland loss in some prescribed manner, the following three criteria must be met. 1, all reasonable mitigative efforts, including alternative sitting, which would eliminate or minimize wetland loss or disturbance, must be incorporated in the proposal. 2, the proposal must clearly be water dependent in nature. And 3, the proposal must demonstrate clearly its need to be in the wetlands and its overwhelming public and private benefits. If the proposed project cannot meet one or more of the above criteria, the project must be denied or must occur in areas outside of wetlands. Should it satisfy all 3 criteria, however, compensation for the wetland loss is required. The sequence of acceptable mitigation options should be as follows: mitigation bank, improved in lieu fee program, permittee responsible on-site and in-kind mitigation, or permittee responsible mitigation through off-site or out-of-kind mitigation within the same watershed. If compensation is required, it should be a condition of the permit. Staff has reviewed this application and finds that this project meets those 3 criteria outlined above. As there are no vegetated tidal wetland impacts, no mitigation is proposed. Staff has reviewed the above application and recommends approval of the application as presented. Should the board wish to approve the application, staff suggests the following conditions be incorporated into the approval. The applicant must obtain all other necessary federal, state, and local permits as required for the project, including a residential building permit. All development activities located in the specified flood hazard area shall comply with Article 6, Division 3, floodplain area regulations of the James City County zoning ordinances and receive all required approval and permits prior to commencement of such activities. The applicant must submit an RPA restoration planting plan encompassing 20 canopy trees, 40 understory trees, and 60 shrubs. No planting shall occur within 10 horizontal feet of the drainage pipe, and no planting shall occur within 10 horizontal feet of the bulkhead. The applicant must submit a surety of $10,000 in a form acceptable to the James City County Attorney's Office to guarantee the replanting of the RPA. The wetlands permit for this project shall expire on August 13th, 2028 if construction has not already begun, and if an extension of the permit is needed, a written request must be submitted to the Stormwater and Resource Protection Division no later than July 2nd, 2028, which is 6 weeks prior to the expiration date. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Questions for staff from the board? I've got one. Are the 20 planning units because of the unauthorized RPA clearing?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. There are no further questions. I will open the public hearing and take comments from either the applicant or their contractor. I don't believe we have that. Any public comments on this particular item? Okay. Discussion amongst the board?
Yeah, I would be in support of the application.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to adopt the resolution to grant the permit request for Wetlands Board, case number WJPA-25-0011 at 7236 Otey Drive.
Wilson?
Motion is to adopt. Mr. McElroy,
Yes.
Mr. Woolsey,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Bowie,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do you have any board considerations? Matters of special privilege? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Wetlands Board is closed.
I will call to order the August 13th, 2025 meeting of the Chesapeake Bay Board. It is the responsibility of this board to carry out locally the Commonwealth policy to protect against and minimize pollution and deposition of sediment in wetlands, streams, and lakes in James City County, which are tributaries of the Chesapeake Bay. Roll call. Next, Mr. Wilson, please.
Mr. McElroy,
Here.
Mr. Woolsey,
Here.
Mr. O'Brien,
Here.
Mr. May,
Here.
Ms. Bowie.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes from the July 9th, 2025 regular board meeting. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 9th?
Motion to approve the minutes from July 9, 2025 as presented.
Please, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to public comment. The public comment period offers a chance for community members to express their opinions. Topics discussed shall not be directly related to specific public hearing items. To participate, speakers must provide their name and address for the record. Does anyone wish to make a public comment? And to the public hearings. The outline for for tonight's public hearings will be a staff presentation followed by any questions or clarifications from the board. Then the public hearing will be opened. At that time, anybody wishing to speak may do so once called upon by the chair. All public speakers must state their name and address for the record. Presentations before the board are subject to time limits. After everyone wishing to speak has done so and discussion among the board has concluded, the public hearing will be closed. Our first case for this evening is CBPA 25-0067, 9812 Turning Leaf Drive. Ms. Grogin, please.
Good evening, Vice Chair, members of the board. Emily Grogin, Watershed Planner, presenting CBPA 25-0067. Mr. David Soto, the Structures Group Incorporated, has applied for Chesapeake Bay exception on behalf of Ms. Veronica Wormley for encroachments into the RPA buffer for the construction of a segmental block retaining wall located at 9812 Turning Leaf Drive within the Stonehouse subdivision and the Ware Creek watershed. This parcel was platted in 1997. Prior to the revisions to the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance in 2004. So we have that Ware Creek watershed boundary outlined in yellow here, along with the subject parcel outlined in blue. Moving further in on the existing property, we have where that retaining wall currently exists and is to be replaced. And then the existing topography, the RPA buffer, and floodplain. The total lot size of this property is 0.68 acres, of which 61% is located within the RPA. The applicant is proposing to remove an existing wood retaining wall and replace it with a segmental block retaining wall closer to the existing driveway and parking pad. Total impacts to the RPA associated with this proposal equate to 104 square feet within the landward 50-foot RPA. Required mitigation for this amount of impervious impacts equals 1/2 planting unit or 6 shrubs. The applicant has proposed a mitigation plan consisting of 2 canopy trees. This exceeds the county's mitigation requirements. So we have these current demolition plan showing that existing retaining wall here in red. As you can see, where it is in reference to the existing driveway and parking pad, it's kind of out here, where it's to be replaced with the segmental block retaining wall closer along that driveway and parking pad. Along with the proposed canopy trees for mitigation. And then, as you can see, all the work is to take place within the 50 landward buffer with just limits of disturbance creeping just into the 50 seaward, but none going into the open space easement existing on the property. And then this is just a cross-section showing that retaining wall that's being built. And then some site photos. As you can see here, this little wooden bit kind of starting at this end is where that existing retaining wall is, and just kind of moving down to the right towards the back of the property. You can see it follows along here, and there's still kind of a bump out between where that existing retaining wall is and the current parking pad and driveway is. And then just moving further down, it kind of continues along here, coming towards the back, just to give you an idea of how far off it is from that parking pad and driveway. And then again, just showing you the tail end of it and where it ends towards the back of the property here. Staff has evaluated the application and exception request for the construction of a segmental block retaining wall. This application meets the ordinance conditions in sections 23-11 and 23-14 and should be heard by the board because the construction of a retaining wall is considered accessory in nature. The board may grant exceptions to section 23-7 if the application meets the following 5 conditions outlined before you. Staff has reviewed the application and exception request and has determined the impacts associated with the proposal to be minor for the proposed development. Staff recommends approval for this exception request, and if the board wishes to approve the request, staff recommends the following conditions be incorporated into the approval. The applicant must obtain all other necessary federal, state, and local permits as required for the project. The applicant must submit a surety of $500 in a form acceptable to the James City County Attorney's Office to guarantee the mitigation plan equaling 2 canopy trees. And this exception request approval will become null and void if construction has not begun by August 13th, 2026. And written requests for an extension to an exception must be submitted to the SRP division no later than July 2nd, 2026, which is 6 weeks prior to the expiration date. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
The plan view up there again? I was curious on the purple is the proposed, and the existing retaining wall is the heavy black line?
Are you referring to this heavy black line here?
Yeah,
That is actually, you can see in the spec, there's going to be kind of a fence
okay.
because it's pretty steep, so don't want anyone going over it. But the existing retaining wall, in reference to where the proposed one is a little bit further out. If you can tell from this photo here, this demolition plan.
Okay, so the new wall is actually set back some.
They're moving it closer to the parking pad.
Right, okay. That's my only question.
A real change in the height, still a 6-foot retaining wall.
To my knowledge, yes.
Questions from the that, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone, the applicant or agent, care to address the board?
Good evening, Joseph Crowlinger with the Structures Group, 1200 Old Colony Lane. I'm the designer. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Appreciate it. Thank
With no one else to address the board, we'll entertain discussion here.
Madam Chair, I would agree with the county's recommendation for approval. I think this is a well-drafted plan and looks like it certainly is needed. I would be in support of it.
The public hearing is closed, so is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to grant the exception request for Chesapeake Bay Board Case Number CBPA 25-0067 at 9812 Turning Leaf Drive.
Motion, the motion is to adopt. Mr. McElroy,
Yes.
Mr. Woolsey,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Bowie.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on the agenda, we will be hearing CBPA 25-0077 at 3472 Hunters Ridge for construction of attached deck and landing and stairs. Ms. Frazier.
Good evening, Vice Chairwoman, members of the board. Amanda Frazier, Watershed Planner, presenting CBPA 25-0077. Mr. Anaker has applied for a Chesapeake Bay exception on behalf of Andrew and Teresa Gray Sullivan for encroachments into the RPA buffer for the construction of an attached deck, landing, and stairs located at 3472 Hunters Ridge within the Powhatan Crossing subdivision in the Powhatan Creek watershed. The parcel was platted in 1992 prior to the revisions of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance in 2004. Here you can see the subject parcel outlined in blue and the watershed boundary outlined in yellow. A closer aerial image of the parcel, topography, RPA. The total lot size of this property is 0.36 acres, of which 25% is located within the RPA. The applicants are proposing to construct an attached deck, landing, and stairs to the rear of the existing dwelling. Total impacts to the RPA associated with this proposal equate to 291 square feet in the land per 50-foot RPA. Required mitigation for this amount of impervious impacts equals 1 planting unit. The applicants have submitted a mitigation plan equaling 1 planting unit, 1 canopy tree, 2 understory trees, and 3 shrubs, therefore satisfying county mitigation requirements. Here is the submitted site plan. You can see the 100-foot RPA buffer outlined here, the existing dwelling. There is an existing above-ground pool on the property that was first installed in 2003. Their mitigation plantings are proposed here and behind the house, and this is the proposed attached deck. Site photos, this is the existing deck on the property. Another image, and you can see in the flags here the outline of the proposed expanded deck. Staff has evaluated the application and accepted a request for the construction of an attached deck, landing, and stairs. This application meets the ordinance conditions in section 23-11 and 23-14 and should be heard by the board because the construction of an attached deck, landing, and stairs is considered accessory in nature. The board may grant exceptions to section 23-7 if the application meets the following 5 conditions, which you have before you. Staff has reviewed the application and exception request and has determined the impacts associated with the proposal to be minor for the proposed development. Staff recommends approval for this exception request, and if the board wishes to approve the request, staff recommends the following conditions be incorporated into the approval. The applicants must obtain all other necessary federal, state, and local permits as required for the project. The applicants must submit a surety of $1,000 in a form acceptable to the James City County Attorney's Office to guarantee the mitigation plan equaling 1 planting unit, 1 canopy tree, 2 understory trees, and 3 shrubs. This exception request approval will become null and void if construction has not begun by August 13th, 2026, and written request for an extension to an exception must be submitted to the SRP division no later than July 2nd, 2026, 6 weeks prior to the expiration date. Be happy to take any questions at this time.
The attached deck, it's going to be the same elevation as the existing one, the proposed one.
I'll
I will open the public hearing. Does anyone representing the homeowner or the applicant or the agent care to address the board? Close the public hearing and discussion among the board.
Yeah, I would assume the answer is yes, yeah.
Do I hear a motion, please?
Get a motion to accept the resolution to grant the exception request for Chesapeake Bay Board, case number CBPA 25-0077 at 3472 Hunters Ridge.
Motion is to accept. Mr. McElroy,
Yep.
Mr. Woolsey,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Bowie.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next on the agenda is case number CBPA 25-0076 at 104 North Turnberry for construction of a single-family dwelling. Ms. Grogin, please.
Good evening again, Board. Emily Grogin, Watershed Planner, presenting CBPA 25-0076 for 104 North Turnberry. Mr. Matthew Roth of Roth Environmental LLC has applied for Chesapeake Bay exception on behalf of Mr. Gilbert DeMeo of Summerwind Homes LLC for encroachments into the RPA buffer for the construction of a single-family dwelling located at 104 North Turnberry within the Forts Colony subdivision and the Powhatan Creek watershed. The parcel was platted in 2000 prior to the changes to the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance in 2004. As you can see to your left here, that Ware Creek watershed boundary is outlined in yellow, and I don't know what happened with my labels here, but over here in blue, that subject parcel. Moving further in on that parcel, these are the most recent aerial photos of the site, along with topography and the RPA. As you can see, the entire lot is covered in the RPA. The total lot size of this property is 0.54 acres, of which 100% is located within the RPA. The applicant is proposing to construct a single-family dwelling. Total impacts to the RPA associated with this proposal equate to 900 square feet of impacts within the 50-foot landward RPA, 2,671 square feet of impacts to the seaward 50-foot RPA, for a total of 3,571 square feet of impacts to the RPA buffer. Required mitigation for this amount of impervious impacts equals 9 planting units, or 9 canopy trees, 18 understory trees, and 27 shrubs. The applicant has submitted a mitigation plan proposing 7 canopy trees, 14 understory trees, and 28 shrubs, along with a payment into the county's Chesapeake Bay Mitigation Fund to make up for the remaining units required. We have the proposed site plan here. I'm going to show another one here shortly that moves in a little bit closer because there's a lot going on here and I want to make sure everyone can see it. We have the property line here, and to the left there's a drainage easement along with a utility and maintenance easement to the back here, with the wetlands outlined in green and the building setback here in blue, with the impervious impacts to the seaward 50 RPA in orange, and the impacts to the 50 landward RPA in purple, along with all the proposed mitigation plantings and the limits of disturbance buffed out in this black line here. And then moving in closer just to kind of see what I just pointed out just a bit closer. I forgot to write it in my staff report, but I would like to note that the minimum square footage for a house in this part of Forts Colony is around 1,700, and what they're proposing is around 1,500, so they're actually under the square footage for this area of Forts Colony. And then just some recent site photography. These stakes here kind of show where that entryway and porch is going to be, and then just moving further down to kind of take a picture from the side of where that entryway to the home is going to be, and then turning right and going towards the back of the lot to show the rear portion of the property kind of in proximity to the existing wetlands where the corner of the house is going to be. And then just again, that same corner here, just showing kind of what's the furthest extent of the property towards those wetlands. And then from that same corner here, just looking left to the rear corner located here. And then looking back up just to get an idea of the existing topography and how everything kind of slopes to the rear towards that wetland and drainage easement. Staff has evaluated the application and exception request for the construction of a single-family dwelling. This application meets the ordinance conditions in sections 23-11 and 23-14 and should be heard by the board because it is a new single-family dwelling. The board may grant exceptions to section 23-7 if the application meets the following 5 conditions outlined before you. Staff has reviewed the application and exception request and has determined the impacts associated with the proposal to be major for the proposed development. If the board wishes to approve the request, staff recommends the following conditions be incorporated into the approval. The applicant must obtain all other necessary federal, state, and local permits as required for the project, including a wetlands permit. The applicant must submit a surety of $5,750 in a form acceptable to the James City County Attorney's Office to guarantee the mitigation plan equaling 7 canopy trees, 14 understory trees, and 28 shrubs. The applicant must pay an amount equal to $1,500 into the county's Chesapeake Bay Mitigation Fund as mitigation for the project. The applicant must record an affidavit in the Williamsburg-James City County Courthouse prior to the release of any surety. This exception request approval will become null and void if construction has not begun by August 13th, 2026, and written requests for an extension to an exception must be submitted to the SRP division no later than July 2nd, 2026, which is 6 weeks prior to the expiration date. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
So the staff is not making a recommendation, I assume based upon reviewing the request and determining the impacts to the proposal are major. Can you elaborate on that?
The reasoning for not giving a recommendation either way. With past projects in Forest Colony that do have a significant amount of wetlands and RPA on the property, we've kind of kept consistent and not making a recommendation, just leaving it up to the board.
Pointed out earlier, I assume this is a 2-story dwelling.
I'm going to defer that to the applicant because I
Okay,
don't know if it's 2-story or the 1.5 off the top of my head.
Square footage.
Further questions for Ms. Grosjean? So I will open the public hearing. Would the applicant or representative care to address the board?
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I'm Matt Roth, President of Roth Environmental, 700 Prescott Circle, Newport News, Virginia. I'm here tonight to present on 104 North Turnberry for Summerwind Homes, and Mr. Gil DeMayo. He's here also if you have any questions for the builder. Thank you, Mike. In my mind. Emily's given a good presentation on this, and I'm going to give some additional comments on this and kind of walk you through how we thought out the project and how we moved through it. There's been a couple designs on this and some reduction in first floor square footage, which was kind of nice that Ford's Colony was able to grant us that. We're talking about a half-acre lot. The slope on the lot is from the south to the north, so from the bottom to the top of the page. There's a small little wetland area that comes in, kind of hooks around and ties into a steep slope adjacent to the neighbor's property. Back before the 2004 changes to the Chesapeake Bay Act, this would not have been an RPA feature, but with the changes, the connected and contiguous wetlands, it is now. I performed the wetland delineation. We've had that confirmed by the Corps of Engineers. The wetlands on site, going through this, they're all forested wetlands. They all drain back to a wetland system and a stream that is part of a BMP system that flows through the back of Ford's Colony. Drainage off this site actually has to flow through 2 existing stormwater BMPs before it discharges out of the Ford's Colony stormwater system. So this lot was, the development on this lot was designed into those stormwater management ponds. And with sites like this, we're pretty happy that it flows through a series of them. So it's not just treated one time and discharged. It's treated several times before it goes out. As far as our proposed design, as you can see on the lot, the wetland on the right side kind of forces you to push all the development to the left. We specifically placed the house on the front setback limit and then also shifted it over as far as we could onto the side setback limit. The applicant did ask Ford's Colony for a reduction in these setbacks, and they were denied that. Now, the first floor minimum square footage, we did get a break on that. For this section 14A in Ford's Colony, the minimum first floor square footage was 1,700 square feet. For a 2-story structure, that's what we're going to build. And they were granted a exemption so that they could have their first floor square footage be 1,505 square feet. As part of the design, we've gone with a very small front porch and just a screen porch on the rear, so there will not be a deck. The drainage is directed around the house back into the natural system as it is now. So it'll flow off the right side. It's designed to go back into that wetland system. On the left side, there is that drainage easement. There's a small swale in that area. So it'll just continue to flow down that direction. It won't have any problems as far as hydrology with any of the wetlands that are there. Flow will be maintained through all the wetland systems as it is now. There will be no backing up of water. We looked at alternatives as part of the site. We looked at maybe putting the driveway in from the left side to see if that would, be able to keep it into the landward 50 feet. The problem with that is the slopes on that side of the house or that side of the property are much steeper than they are in the center. When we placed the driveway on the left side of the house, the driveway needed to be extended longer because it was just too steep. So that would push us farther back into the buffer, have greater impacts. We also originally had a more square house in the original design, which would impact wetlands to a greater extent and obviously go back into the seaward portion of the buffer a little bit more. So we went with a more rectangular footprint to where we're a little bit longer deep than we are wide. That was able to push the house back over to that side setback a little bit more and reduce the impacts in the seaward 50. As far as wetland mitigation, we have a small wetland impact on this one of 512 square feet. We've already received our Corps of Engineers permit for this. The applicant will be mitigating at a 2-to-1 ratio at a mitigation bank for that impact. As far as the Chesapeake Bay mitigation, as Emily said, we've got to have 9 units for the impervious area that's proposed on the lot. because of our clearing limits are so tight on the house and we didn't want to extend them any farther than we needed to, we proposed 7 units, and you can see it's rather dense. The landscape architect thought that was about as much as we could do. And then I talked to Mr. Wilson, and he said we could propose the 2 units of purchase into the mitigation fund for the county. Our third portion of the mitigation is the Turf Love program, and we'd like to enroll the applicant in the Turf Love program when they work to establish their lawn. So when they can do that, they can get taught how to establish a healthy lawn without the use of heavy fertilizers and pesticides. I think that's important, especially draining into a BMP. I hope this kind of helps you through the process of what we looked at, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Was the decision to go to 1,500 first floor square footage just a architectural decision, design decision, or was it in light of trying to minimize the environmental impact?
We're trying to minimize the environmental impacts. This section of Ford's Colony, there was a typo in their original first floor square footage on their chart that they had put out. And can't remember her name at Ford's Colony, but she sent me the updated list. And actually she sent me the approved facts from Vernon Getty from back in 2000 when this section was recorded that said the minimum first floor square footage was 1,700. So I think in this section, they were willing to allow us to go a little bit smaller, and the applicant was fine with that.
Mentioned excessive slopes on the left side of the house. Would there be any issues with like sheet flow, water runoff, things like that on that side of the house going back towards the stream?
I don't think so. They'll be able to grade the yard in that area adequately. Once they grade it, there won't be any excessive slope.
Thank you.
Is there a deck
No, they're going with a screened-in porch,
Right.
covered porch
on the front?
on the back. There's a small porch on the front, covered porch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Presentation. It's the public hearing. Question.
I would just say that it looks like there's a fair number of mitigative measures that they've taken to try to, minimize impacts that's favorable.
I
Yeah,
do
I
have a
agree.
question for Ms. Grogin. Have you had any response from neighbors who were notified?
I did briefly speak to the gentleman that lives at 100 North Turnberry. He just he did not oppose the construction of the home. He was just concerned with cross-lot drainage, but part of our review is to ensure that cross-lot drainage doesn't occur. And as Mr. Roth stated, right now the proposed final grading is to put all that water back into the wetland system. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Further discussion? I hear a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the resolution to grant the exception request for Chesapeake Bay Board case number CBPA 25-0076, 104 North Turnberry.
Motion is to adopt. Mr. McElroy,
Yes.
Mr. Woolsey,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Bowie. Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on. Oh, thank you. Moving on to CBPA 25-0078 at 1666 John Tyler Highway for the construction of a pool and a patio. Ms. Frazier, please.
Good evening, Vice Chairwoman, members of the board. Amanda Frazier, watershed planner presenting CBPA 25-0078. Mr. Chase Grogg of Atlantic Resources Incorporated has applied for a Chesapeake Bay exception on behalf of Jonathan and Jennifer Butler for encroachments into the RPA buffer for the construction of a pool and patio located at 1666 John Tyler Highway within the Midkiff subdivision and the Gordon Creek watershed. The parcel was platted in 1998 prior to the revisions of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance in 2004. See the subject parcel outlined in blue and the watershed boundary in yellow. It's a closer aerial image of the property, showing the existing topography, RPA. Total lot size of this property is 3.19 acres, of which 24% is located within the RPA. The existing walkway was approved under case number CBE-08-025. The existing dwelling was approved under case number BP 110973. However, the approved plans do not show the existing patio encroachment. Therefore, double mitigation will be required for this structure, which can be seen here. The applicants are proposing to reduce the existing patio, leaving 113 square feet of the existing structure within the RPA. Required mitigation for this amount of after-the-fact impervious impacts equals half a planting unit. The applicants are also proposing to construct a pool and patio behind the existing dwelling and detached garage. Total impacts to the RPA associated with this proposal equate to 434 square feet in the landward 50-foot RPA. Required mitigation for this amount of impervious impacts equals 1.5 planting units. The applicants have submitted a mitigation plan equaling 3 planting units in the form of 33 shrubs, therefore exceeding county mitigation requirements. Additionally, the applicants are proposing 1 infiltration trench BMP to manage drainage on the lot. So this is the existing condition site plan showing the existing dwelling, detached garage, and the unapproved patio. Site plan for the proposed construction. You can see the infiltration trench here, proposed mitigation plantings. This portion of the existing patio is to be removed, and they are adding this portion of the patio and the pool, and it will make its encroachment into the 50-foot landward RPA here. A BMP specs for the infiltration trench. Some photos of the lot in its current state. Here is the dwelling, and then this is the detached garage. Coming around the side of the garage, the patio and the pool will be in this area. Coming back around to the side, looking back towards the house, pool and patio will be in this area. Patio will extend towards the house, and this is the unapproved patio here. Another image looking that direction, the existing patio, and turning back around at where the new patio will be constructed. And back this direction, the pool and patio. Staff has evaluated the application and exception request for the construction of a pool and patio. This application meets the ordinance conditions in section 23-11 and 23-14 and should be heard by the board because the construction of a pool and patio is considered accessory in nature. The board may grant exceptions to section 23-7 if the application meets the following 5 conditions, which you have before you. Staff has reviewed the application and exception request and has determined the impacts associated with the proposal to be moderate for the proposed development. If the board wishes to approve the request, staff recommends the following conditions be incorporated into the approval. The applicants must obtain all necessary federal, state, and local permits as required for the project. The applicants must submit a surety of $3,000 in a form acceptable to the James City County Attorney's Office to guarantee the mitigation plantings equaling 3 planting units, 33 shrubs. The applicants must remove the portion of the patio as shown in the submitted site plan prior to the release of surety. The applicants must record an affidavit with the WJCC courthouse prior to the issuance of a building permit. The applicants must submit a letter of installation from a qualified professional to the SRP division prior to the issuance of final certificate of occupancy. This letter must verify compliance with the approved construction plans for stormwater BMP facilities. No surveyed as-built will be required. This exception request approval will become null and void if construction has not begun by August 13th, 2026. Written request for an extension to an exception must be submitted to the SRP division no later than July 2nd, 2026, 6 weeks prior to the expiration date. Be happy to take any questions at this time.
What do you have in terms of alternatives that were laid out for the patio and deck? The pool,
They have not provided
didn't-
alternatives.
Questions for Ms. Frazier? Thank you. So I will open the public hearing if the applicant or representative can.
Good to
address
see
the
you.
board.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Chase Grogg with Land Tech Resources, 205 Bullifonts Boulevard, Suite E, Williamsburg, Virginia, 23188. Thank you, Amanda, for your presentation and working with us through some final comments in preparation of this evening. I'm here tonight representing Mr. and Mrs. Butler on their proposed project to install a pool and extend existing patio within the landward RPA buffer. The proposed location of these improvements is an already maintained grass lawn located behind their existing house and garage. The only vegetation to be removed are two trees we believed would be impacted by both construction activity and digging of the proposed pool. One of the proposed trees to be removed falls right on the RPA line. Before requesting these minor impacts within the RPA buffer, we tried to reasonably accommodate the pool elsewhere on the lot. However, the location of the existing drain field infrastructure to the left of the house led to the selecting of the area to the right of the house. The first item I would like to address from staff's report is the existing patio located behind the Butler's residence. This home was originally constructed in 2011, with the first satellite photo showing the house and patio being in 2013. This would suggest that the patio was constructed either with the new home construction or soon thereafter. The Butlers purchased the home in fall of 2023 from the original owners, and until we received staff's report last week, were unaware that it was constructed without the required approvals. Once we received notice of this information, we contacted staff and requested to make some changes to our plan as submitted. Our plan from the beginning with this project was to over-mitigate by a decent amount to offset our proposed minor impacts. The original proposal was to plant 2 credits with the infiltration trench and has been revised to be 3 credits of mitigation as well as the infiltration trench. We also took the proposed patio and pool and shifted them 2 feet towards the garage, further reducing the proposed impervious cover. Moreover, the size of the patio in question within both submission was being reduced in size as part of the application. That is, I'm referencing there the patio that was illegally in place. The next item I would like to discuss is our proposed infiltration trench. At the moment, the existing flow of a majority of the rear drainage from impervious cover goes into a concrete ground gutters. From there, the water flows to a catch basin at the right corner of the house and out a corrugated pipe to daylight, just into the woods and the RPA. Our proposed trench is designed to take that existing flow as well as the drainage from the proposed addition and patio so it can infiltrate into the ground rather than directly into the RPA. The trench will treat 1,853 square feet of impervious cover, or over 4 times the proposed 445 square feet within the RPA. With the majority of this project falling within already manicured lawn, as well as our proposed extra mitigation to include impervious cover that drains towards the RPA, but it is not located in the RPA, myself and Mr. and Mrs. Butler would request approval of this project. I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Questions for Mr. Grogg?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Closed discussion among the board.
Yeah, I feel like the plan adequately mitigates any of the impacts, especially with removing portion of that patio that was in place.
I agree that additional mitigation they put in place is above and beyond as well. I would be in support of this application.
I have a motion.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to adopt the resolution to grant the exception request for Chesapeake Bay Board case number CBPA-25-1 2022-0078 at 1666 John Tyler Highway.
Motion is to adopt. Mr. McElroy,
Yes.
Mr. Woolsey,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Bowie.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Final matters on our agenda. I see no board considerations or matters of special privilege.
Just want to remind the board that there is no September meeting. We will see you in October.
Mr. Wilson. This concludes matters brought before the board. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Forget that.